Hello. I know I've done these before, these kind of tags, but I'm going to do some I'm going to do a Christmas one, and then I'm going to show you some that I've worked on over the weekend. There is a lot of fun. I love doing these. I will put a link down to these tags down below, but I know that especially in the US you can get lots of these kind of layered tags. If you're in Australia, Kerry from Witchcraft Do You Do has layered tags too, so hopefully they're quite accessible. I'm going to make a big one today, but I'm going to be working on some smaller ones. I may have some other ideas for those and come back and film those too. I've given these a good wipe down. That was first thing I did. So they are ready to take some kind of medium, but I do want to select what I'm going to do first. So I'm going to use this as my frame. Now in my new Christmas kit, there are smaller tags for layering, and what I've done is I want to use the bird, and it was one of the tags. I've just straightened the top and prepared. I've just mounted this on some white chipboard, so that's ready to go. The only thing I need to decide is what I'm going to use on the background, because obviously the tag is quite small. So I'm going to just have a little look at how I want to layer this. And I've got two choices that I might use, because I quite like maybe that, because I can use these in other tags, and I'll show you what I've done with some of the others. I think I'm going to go for that. Yeah, I think I like that. Maybe a little bit more of that showing in the corner. Okay, so now I've selected my background. We'll work on that shortly. I'm going to work on this first, and it's not anything that I haven't done before, but I'm just doing this in a very slightly different way to the ones I did before. I'm going to go in with gesso first of all, and I'm going to give this a good coat of gesso. Probably got a bit of a small brush for this, but never mind. I'm going to speed it all up for you while I just gesso this. So that's already dry. I'm now going to use my textured crackle paste, but you don't have to use this. You could use a textured paste and just make some like peaks using your palette knife, or even your finger if you don't have a palette knife, or a credit card, shop store card, something like that. But when I add this today, I'm going to add it much thinner than I did on my previous layered mixed media tags. I'm not going to go in very thick with this. There might be a few areas where I add it slightly thicker, but on the whole I'm going to add this fairly thin. And I'm not going to put it everywhere. I'm going to work around. You can see in some areas it's really, really thin. Maybe a bit thicker on that corner. I think this is one of my favourite all-time products. I've gone through several pots of this. Okay. I think that's it. Nice and thin. I don't mind a little bit of white around the edges because it just adds to the kind of snowy effect, I suppose. But I do wipe off some of that. Now I'm going to dry this to speed it up. So you can see it's quite subtle. It's not over the top crackle. Just a tip, these are made of MDF, so when you're heating it you do get that MDF kind of smell, so you probably should wear a mask if you're doing this. Now I've used a mix of these in previous tags. Salvaged patina oxide spray. I may come back and add a little bit of the ink, I think, if I need to. I'm getting a bit low on this. I'm just going to spray a little bit on there, and I'm going to add some water to it straight off. I've got a brush. It's already a bit wet. Actually, I'm going to wet that slightly more. And I'm going to just very lightly go around my tag. I'm going to take a baby wipe, and it's not a very wet baby wipe, and just take up some of that blue from the white cracks from the bit. So you can see we've got quite a subtle colour going on here. I'm going to go around a few places again. I think I will add some of the blue. If I had a red or some of the lovely pink kind of reds that Mr. Holtz does, I probably would have used those for this particular tag, but I don't, so I'm not. As he says, use what you've got, and that's that's what I do. Okay, I'm gonna try a little bit of this now, just because I'm just not quite sure that colour is deep enough yet. But I definitely do this in layers, small amounts, adding a bit more when I feel like I need to. It's going to be lighter when it dries. But it's quite a nice subtle colour. When you're using it like this, it's just more like a watercolour. It's just so nice. Very pretty. Very pretty indeed. Right, I don't want to waste that. What can I put that on? Probably another video. I'm just going to mop that up with this paper bag. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a little dry. I'm going to add some silver. So I'm really happy with that colour and texture. Like I said, I'm going to add some silver, and I'm going to do that two ways. The first way is I'm going to use my burnished brush pewter, I think it is, because the plastic is I think this pewter will kind of bring out the colouring in that robin. So I'm just going to give it a little sprinkle. Okay, dry this. Okay, the wax silver I'm going to leave till the end, but you can just see, I think you can see it on camera, just a little bit of shimmer here and there. So the last thing I'm going to do to this before we move on to the next step is I've got some acrylic ink, and it's white, and I'm just going to add some drops. Okay, I'm going to give this a partial dry. Okay, so you can see they're quite subtle. They're not overpowering, just makes that quite pretty. So that is now ready to put aside, and we're ready to work onto our base. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a spare front, just so I know where I'm cutting. And I'm going to use my bird, so I know to get the right bits in. That's about right. And what I'm going to do is I'm lining it up at the bottom. I'm going to draw up into that first curve, and the same the other side. And I'm just going to cut slightly on the inside of this. I hope you're all enjoying the A to Z of Christmas craft collaboration. It's been absolutely brilliant so far. Really enjoying watching them. Okay, so I've got a playlist actually for the A to Z. As the new videos are coming out, I'm adding those. I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac. So I'm going to line this up. Now I've got a sanding block and I'm using this to just take off any major overhang. If it's too big like some of this is, you just go in with your scissors and remove that. But we want this so it's quite flush. So I go round and do this all the way round just to remove. And like I said, this is MDF, so you should be wearing a mask for this. Now, I'm not going to glue this down as yet, but we do want it in place. So this is going to be in the middle there. I think it's going to look beautiful. Right, move that aside for a second. I'm going to work on this. Now, I am going to heat emboss around the edge like I did with my Christmas cards. And I'm going to use the, what is it? It's where's the name of it? Oh, Stardust. It's Stardust. That's very pretty. You can see just a little bit. I'm not going to touch it just as yet, but it does need straightening out. So what I'm going to do actually is turn it over and just heat it from the back. And now that is pretty flat, so that's great. Okay, I'm going to just slide that over there to dry a little bit further, and I'm going to take a look at this. Now I'm going to decorate around the edge, but I'm not, I don't have a ton of little Christmas dies and bits and pieces already done. So I'm just going to use things that I've purchased, and I've been saving this last one. I think it is the last one. There were 4 in a pack to add on here. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go as yet, but I'm going to use one of those. I also have these already made. These were like £1, I think. I don't know where the label is. They were from the works, and I think they were either £1 or £1.50. They were not expensive, but they do have glue on them. So you have to kind of pick one. The best one without the big blobs of glue. That's not too bad. So I'm going to go for something similar to that. And this is going to go here. And I'm going to decide whether the flowers are going inside or outside. Do I want anything else along here? So I've got a little special delivery label there. That's maybe a little bit dark. On this sheet, we've got one in red. That might actually work a little bit better. Got some snowflakes too. Not sure whether to add a little bit of snowflake in there. Actually, I'm not sure about this special delivery. Maybe it could go under the bird slightly. Okay, so give me a second. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the special delivery, but I'm going to put it slightly underneath that bird. Right, now we have some, it's a reasonably thick cardboard scrap. I've just popped my glue gun on, and I'm going to mount this. I don't want it to come out of the edge, so I'm just going to cut this down. Just hold that down for a second. I'm going to take that off for now. And I'm going to take those off for a moment. Just make sure that's lined up where I want it. I wanted these to be fairly quick and easy. I've got a few to make. I've still got, I'll show you the ones I've already made, except one, because that's downstairs. But I will put that into the pictures. Make sure that's flat and in place. I mean, they would look fabulous with a bit of sewing on, if you wanted to add more scrap fabrics. There's so much you could do. Now I'm just going to remove that top bit to make this a little bit easier. Slide that under there. And there we go. Okay. All right. Now that's all ready. What I'm going to do now is add my wax. I'm using old silver, keeping my glue gun ready. That should be getting nice and hot now. Just put a tiny bit on my board. Sorry, I've used Fabri-Tac and now I can't breathe. And I'm just going to add a little bit of silver around some of these edges. It's going to be very subtle. You're not going to be able to see much of it on camera. Just going to use up a little bit of that. Okay, right. That's it. Just tiny, 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 tiny bits. If you can just see little pops of the silver here and there. Not too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to glue this in place. I'm not using my hot glue for that. Don't try that. It's going to be a disaster because it's got quite a bit of dimension. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. I find it's absolutely fine. So far it's been absolutely fine. So like I said, use a glue you know you are okay with. I used on my heavier mixed media tags, I used Gorilla Glue Clear, which is absolutely brilliant, but it takes an exceptionally long time to dry, and on top of that it does slide around, and it's a lot more than this because it's got such a long grab time. So I had them clamped overnight, and this, because it's paper, it's going onto paper. I find it's absolutely brilliant. Works fine. So now I'm ready to add my little bits and pieces. So I'm going to go snowflake and flower in this corner, but I'm just not sure whether to add that into the tag or on the edge. If it's into the tag slightly, the bonus of that is you've got the ability to kind of stand it up. Just trying to see how far. It's got the little sticky pad on there. You have to fiddle around with these. I've got a die cut for poinsettias, but it's so big. I think I'm going to go. I think we're going to go something like that inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue this little section here where I want my snowflake. I just get rid of all the strings later on. I'm not worried about those right now. And I'm going to put a few little dabs of hot glue around here. I'm not worrying about taking the sticky pad top off. And then I'm going to push that. Just use my scissors to hold that down. Just catch that under that leaf and hold that into place. That's nice and secure. Now this one I am going to have hanging off the tag because it's at the top, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there and just pop that straight down. Love it, love it, love it. Last thing, I have 2 tatty pieces of this is just cotton I've dyed, and this is a piece of sari silk. We're going to put these in here. trim off those. There go, my fabric scrap box. Now the last little thing is I've got a little fox and a bulb pin. And I'm just going to add that to the top of this tag, because this one may be going to my little nephew Archie Fox, although he may want I'm giving them a choice, but he may actually want the fox tag. So that's that one, and I'll just quickly show you the others. That's the one we've just made. I've got a clean-up session booked. I've booked it for straight after this video because I can't move around my desk at the minute. It's not very clean. Okay, I have that one. The fox. And then the snowman. So I think these were done basically with just the background paper. This is the only one I've done so far with a bit of dimension to it. So the kit is absolutely brilliant for it's. You've just got a beautiful tag right there. So if you're not using kits for journal making, this is a great idea for using kits. I love it. I'm really happy with that tag. So thank you for joining me. I hope you like it. I will see you all again really soon. Although it's Foxy Rag time, we're working on the rag now. So take care. And obviously once they're dry, you can just pull off all of those random glue gun strings, which bug you, obviously. Right, take care. I will see you all again soon.